Hey BookTube! Welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie and it's time for some more literary ramblings. So, I think I spoke too soon when I said I was able to get out of the reading slump. I mean, I don't know if this is a reading slump or not. I've never experienced one. But, this is going by really slow. I forgot how long Cassandra Clare's chapters were. And, it's not the book is still pretty, a good fast pace, but not so fast, and the writing is still very much like the target audience is teenagers. So the writing is not super flowery and it's straight to the point, but I'm not feeling it. I'm gonna keep going because I have the second book. I haven't bought the third book yet, but I should probably buy it soon. Although with the slow pace I'm going with this book, maybe I can wait a little while before I buy the third book. But, because I know that book 2 ends on a cliffhanger, and I want to be able to be able to jump into the final book after reading the second book if it's going to end on a cliffhanger. Although I've come to realize it's worse when it's a TV show, because then you might have a whole year or at least 6 months or 3 months before you can continue with the series. Like with a book, you can just go buy the next book. I mean, you can't because you can't just magically transport yourself to the store or, but it's a lot you can control when you buy a book. Though, if you order it online, it still might take a while to get here, but at least you have more control than with a TV show where you are depending on the people who run the program. You're depending on them when they're going to give it back to you. And then you have no way of knowing unless you start looking at unless you're like me and you look at spoilers. Of course, I would still have to wait because the particular show I'm talking about, I probably will not see spoilers of any kind until probably around autumn, because the new season will not start until January of next year. Although now I'm nervous because the pandemic is still going on and we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if it's going to be resolved enough, or we're going to be in an okay enough situation where everyone could go back to their normal lives and not have to worry about getting, as long as we're still a little cautious, then we're good. The show I'm talking about, the 2 actors from the show were talking about, oh, well, with this whole pandemic, we might not be able to do big meal spreads in episodes. Because she was talking about how this one character will make breakfast for the other characters, and she really misses that, misses that this character would do that. But then she realized, well, although with the pandemic and everything, we might not be able to do that anymore. Because even if we're in a state where things are normal or somewhat normal, it's going to take a while before we finally resolve at least this part of all of our current situation, societal problem, our current world problems. Because you don't find a cure or or something to fight this. It took years before they found the thing that we need to get rid of the flu, to create the flu shot and stuff. So it will probably still take a long time. I just hope by next year that we'll be able to go back to a somewhat normal life. Because I'm really I get really tired of having to wear the mask to work or wearing gloves and stuff every day. Because, we're in a grocery store, so I'm around people all the time. And the grocery stores are things that, is something that that they kept open for people. So it makes me, I'm very lucky and very fortunate that I had a job where I was a necessity and I had to keep work and I could keep working. But, so I don't know what's going to happen next year. I mean, although finally GalaxyCon has canceled their, at the end of the next month, and they moved it to December. But even then, my mom and I are still concerned because we don't know what's going to happen by December. I don't know if things are going to be okay by December. I think she still is a little apprehensive about me going. But, Terry keeps messaging me about, she's my con buddy, and we keep talking, she keeps messaging me, and I don't know what to tell her. because I don't know what's going to happen by then. I mean, I know we have to plan ahead, and she can't just ask off. Neither can I. But at the same time, like I said, I don't know what to tell her. I don't know what's going to happen in December. Maybe. And I think my mom might think it's better that we wait until next year before we, like, instead of committing to just going to the December, because what if that gets canceled? So I think she's just thinking, well, maybe she just transfer them to next year. And who knows, maybe the actors that I want to see, that I was planning on seeing, they might not go. They might be apprehensive about going also. And that's one of the big appeals to going to these conventions, that these actors will be there. And I want to see them. So, and I don't know who's going to be there next year. You have no way of knowing who's going to be there next year until it gets closer to the convention time. And hopefully the actors that I want to be there, if they decide not to go, even if it gets moved to December, if they are still a little worried or not certain if they want to commit to going into appearing in December, hopefully they will be there next year. But which will be disappointing. I mean, that's another thing. Like, I'm trying not to be, like, dwell on it and everything, but there's my two favorite actors from one particular show are gonna be there this year. They were planning on being there, and now I'm worried. But I'm trying not to think about that. Because at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world if I don't get to meet these people. But this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to meet them. But then my health is more important than meeting some actors that I'm a huge fan of. So I'm trying not to think about that. In case my mom decides, I think you should just transfer your tickets for next year. But... And who knows, maybe someone else will go next year that I really want to see, that I was hoping would go. I'm talking about a particular show and some actors from a particular show that I'm really into right now, which I already did a video on the show. I think it'd be cool if, surprise, just like this year, I was surprised and was saying, I would love to meet these people. I hope that they one day go to a con and I get to meet them. And then it turns out they are signed up for this year, and so that would be awesome if next year, actors from the show I'm currently obsessed with, at least right now, that if I find out, we're going next year, some of them are going next year, even even better if it was two of my favorites, just like this year. But who knows what will happen. Hopefully this people will one day be safe enough, and at least we can figure out this is probably the world problem that we can fix, or at least, it will be easier to fix it than the other problem that's going on in the world right now. That one is not going to be fixed overnight. They do need to find a way, not just a band-aid kind of fix it, but something that will make things better and make everybody, especially the people that it most hurts, that community of people will feel like they can trust the other community of people. Okay, enough talking about that. Let's get back to the books. So, like I said, I'm going by really slow with this one. And it's just, I guess it's because it's been a while since I've been in a Cassandra Clare world. I mean, I still hold it in my heart, and I still like the world. It's been a while. I haven't, even though, I guess I don't know if it's been a year or two since I read the Shadowhunter Academy, and that was fun and everything, but then I took a long break. It took me a while before I finally started to read. It took me until now to read Lady Midnight. So it's just weird to get back into it, and those were short stories, so it wasn't as big of a commitment as this one, which is, how many pages now? Let's see how many pages this is. To see how many pages. It doesn't have a number. I'm assuming that's just a sneak peek. Okay, yep, that's a sneak peek. So if I don't read those, there are 668 pages, and I'm only on, at least I'm in the hundreds. but I'm page 103. So, I mean, I'm in the hundreds now. But I still got a lot to go, obviously. I mean, I don't want to stop reading. I want to just let myself get into it, but I'm just not feeling it at the moment. I mean, I like it, and I think it's also, it's not just that it's been a while, but I think I'm also distracted by Charmed Reboot show and how I'm all about my favorite couple, my favorite ship on that show, and the fact that, and that's the show I was talking about when I said I have to wait a whole year before the new season starts. Which, again, that's the other thing I was worried about. What if they have to cancel restarting the show? What if they can't get back on program and start filming again? I mean, you never know what's going to happen. Like, there are actors that are, filming is being shown, and filming has started filming, and shows that started filming again. Although maybe although it would be nice if we find out they've already started filming. But it's probably still too early to tell, to have them start filming. And who knows, they might not be able to anyway, so. But yeah, I just hope that this doesn't get worse again. I mean, it's gotten worse here, unfortunately, in North Carolina, but hopefully not everywhere else. But I'm just so. But anyway, let me go ahead, tell you what's going on in this one. So this is about the characters that are introduced towards the end of Mortal Instruments, Emma Carstairs and Julian Blackthorne. And Emma is now 17, and so is Julian. And Emma is trying to investigate the murder of her parents, because the Clave tells her that it's not Julian. I mean, it's Sebastian Morgenstern who murdered her parents, but she does not believe it. And so she's still trying to figure it together, but because of the cold peace, she can't really. First of all, she's not allowed to get involved. That she's underage, and second, because of the cold peace, and even though it has something, because she cannot get involved, also because there might be a connection with the fairies, because the fairies are also being connected, and the fairies, of course, were working with Sebastian and aligned with him. So now they've been disowned from the community, from this world, from this community, both the Downworlders and the Shadowhunters, as punishment. So basically, Emma can't get involved, but of course it's the murder of her parents, so she wants revenge, so she's not gonna not get involved. And the other thing is that Julian's brother and Julian's sister and half brother, because their one parent was a fae, so they're half fae, so everyone's the Clave, banishes them, and they're you're fae, so you don't belong with us, you're half fae, even though you're only half, you still don't belong, because you still have fae in you, and we can't trust you. So they have been banished. Mark is sent to be part of the Wild Hunt, and then Helen has been banished to another world, another part of the world. And Julian is he wants to save her and save them, so he's thinking if they solve this, then he can save his siblings and get them back. But of course people keep, the one adult that they have in their life, Diana Rayburn, who is kind of their teacher, their tutor, is no, do not get involved, it's too dangerous. The law says you cannot get involved with the Fae politics anymore, because thanks to the cold peace, the Fae are no longer part of our community. We don't like them anymore, and we don't trust them. And they're underage, and it's dangerous. And she points out that Julian would do anything for Emma. And of course, all of Kelsey Clare's books, there is angst. Julian, and Emma are parabatai cannot fall in love, but the feelings are there. It's sizzling away. The two of them have feelings for each other in a romantic way, but they can't be together because they're parabatai. And then on top of that, Emma has, her friend from Mexico is visiting, Christina, and I can't remember which of his siblings, but one of his siblings, I don't. He's a lot. There's it's the Blackthorns are a big family. She's like, ooh, you should fix up, Julian with Christina. So it's like, oh, okay, love triangle alert. But and I feel like she's known for doing love triangles, all of her books so far. And I don't know what about the other one, the other series, if that's going to have a love triangle. Probably will, because all of her series have had love triangles. It's like easy way to create drama. Fortunately, it's the least popular. But at least in the Infernal Devices, people loved that love triangle. They weren't so keen. I don't think people were as keen with the Mortal Instruments love triangle. Of course, it also was made worse because in that one, we get the whole Clary and Jace may be siblings, which they aren't, it turns out. Sebastian is her brother. But I remember a lot of people were mad about that. I was mad about that. I was kind of annoyed. I mean, I kept going because I wanted to see what was going to happen. But, oh my god, it's like, really? So you're going to go down the incest route? But she did, and, well, it turns out it wasn't incest. And that's, I think, why she felt okay to put it in there. Because it creates drama and in the story. And then also, she probably knew that, oh, they're not actually siblings. We're just going to make it seem like they are and go through that whole angst. And I have such mixed feeling about angst because if it takes too long, after a while I'm like, okay, let's resolve this, let's get them together, now enough with the drama, we know that they love each other and they want to be together, let's resolve this, like, now. I don't want to be stuck dealing with this. Like, that's what happened on Charmed Reboot, is that my couple, it took forever, it took until the end, although technically it's not the end because they had to stop filming because of the whole pandemic. But it took them forever to get them together. There were so many near misses and so much miscommunication between the two of them. Like, one of the girl in the relationship was very much, she keeps her, like, she reminds me of Elsa from Frozen, where she has she keeps her emotions in check and locked up, and, like, she has to keep them in control. And it feels like she has to control the situation. She's very, is unapproachable, as she puts it in season 1. And she just keeps her, just is very reserved and holds her feelings in. And then it's established that the guy has feelings for her. He's in love with her. And so she's trying not to have those feelings. She is denying those feelings. And so he ends up flirting with another woman that he's attracted to, and she is dating another guy at some point in the story. So there's so much near misses, and there's so many moments where you think they're gonna kiss and everything, and she's finally gonna be like, admit her true feelings and stuff. In fact, they have a kiss that is in the imagination of the girl, which really is like, are you kidding me? Really? And then, but they finally happens because she finally lets her guard down and realizes she loves him. And although they don't say I love you, but she realizes her feelings for him. And she finally lets her guard down. But even then, in that episode, right before the end of that episode, they have a whole, where his memories are blocked. He can't access his memories, so he doesn't know who she is. And it's after she gives this beautiful, heartfelt speech saying, I love you, I love everything about you. And although, like I said, they haven't said I love you yet. It just said feelings. But, she says, and all that cute stuff. I love those monologues. The characters are like, I love this about you and this about you. And they saw all the little quirks about that person. They just can't help, the way they dress. Or, their face, something on their face. A lot of times people say, oh, you're thinking really hard. Your nose wrinkles, and in this case, he had a little crease between his brows whenever, and so it's just really cute. But then he says, "Who are you?" Because there's a stupid thing in the sense it's blocking his memory. And then, but by the end of the episode, it's she finally tells him. It's really cute because she's giving this. She doesn't give as much of a monologue as last time, but she's she comes out to talk to him, and she's like, I'm, tired of holding back, I'm tired of, keeping my feelings tempered, and waiting for the right moment. And and he's like, I don't want to hold back anymore. And he's like, I don't. And he's like, what do you want? Not realizing that she is finally giving him the time of, she's finally like, I want to be with you. And she finally is admitting her feelings for him. It's just such a cute moment, because, like, I'm obsessed. I will watch the scene on repeat, and the guy's, his expression is first he's surprised, and then he slowly smiles, and they dance under the moonlight, and then in the next episode, they're basically having, sex in the next episode. Fortunately, they get interrupted the next morning. But anyway, so yeah, I'm like obsessed with this shit. But they just had dragged it out so much, it drove me nuts. And I'm just like, I kept watching because most people, I feel like we keep watching or keep reading because we want that couple together. We try so hard. So the writers, whether it's an author or a screenwriter, they know that we'll keep watching. So they're like, oh, I'm going to torture you and drag it out some more because I know you'll still watch it because you want this couple together. And it's like, you just want to shake those writers and be like, okay, you don't have to drag it out so long. Yes, we will keep watching, we will be loyal, but we want the couple together. Like, you can still have a couple together and not be boring. You can still make it really fun and interesting and dramatic and still keep the couple happy and together. Like, for a while, Piper and Leo on the original Charmed were happy together and were a somewhat normal couple, although they tore them apart too eventually, but they still had a good amount of seasons where they were happy together. But, yeah, that's what Cassandra Clare does too. She just messes with you. And the good news is only, like, this is just a trilogy, so it's only 3 books where we have to deal with the angst. But, like I said, I haven't bought the 3rd book yet, and I feel like I need to buy it soon. Before I get to the 2nd book. I got a while to go, because I'm only on page 103 of this one, and who knows how long, and I might jump into something else. I keep thinking about, like, my Dickens books, and then I have Peace and Turmoil I started, and I'm tempted to reread Jane Eyre, because I got this new beautiful edition. But I am just, but anyway, so this is just, but this is still really good, it's still pretty good, it's still interesting, and, like, the good news is at this point, Cassie Clare doesn't have to really explain the world. She does a little bit, but it's like we're so familiar with it that she doesn't have to explain what things are, and Emma is supposed to be already part of this world, so she knows these things already, so she kind of explains a little bit, but not too much, not like in Mortal Instruments, where she had to, like, we had this character who was introduced to the world, had been separated from the world, and didn't know about its existence. So I'm going to read a little bit more today, and the good news, I can go running again. It stopped raining, and it's a very small percentage of rain, and I'm hoping it stays like that, but I think we're going to get more rain later this week, which is so weird, because it's June, it's summer. But anyway, but then, it's not like we could go to the pool, but you have to make reservations and stuff like that to use the pool, because, with the pandemic and everything, pool, people are around each other all the time, so it's like they have to limit the amount of people that are at the pool. So, like I said, I'm going to read a little bit more. And I don't know what I'm going to do when I'm, like, I might jump into something else. So it's so weird, because I've never, I read more than one book at a time, but I've never, felt like like I was in a reading slump or anything. And I'm worried that this is the direction that it's going, where I'm in that. And I know nothing's wrong with it. It's okay if you're in a reading slump. You don't have to force yourself to. But I still feel like I don't want to stop reading. I don't want to be one of those people that just can't read anymore. Because I love reading. I love books. I love getting lost in another world, But, and maybe once Charmed, the reboot, comes back, I'll be in a good place again to read. And maybe I just need to find something else to focus on. Like, eventually, let this whole Charmed session run its course, and then eventually I'll be able to distract myself until the new season starts. And like I said, I'll start, by August, September, I'll start checking to see if there's spoilers for the new season. Hopefully there will be, although, like I said, I think we might have to wait a little bit before. I hope I don't have to, I would think that they would start hinting at spoilers, because I'm assuming by then they would start filming. Like I said, I'm nervous with the whole pandemic and everything, and they might have to stop filming again. And then we'll have to wait again. Which is really bad I don't know, I hope it's not bad for the show. It messes them up. Because people might be tired of waiting. But then it's not the show's fault either, so the show shouldn't pay the price for that. And it's just that things happen, this pandemic happened, and you can't control that. So the show shouldn't be punished for that. So, I'm actually almost done with chapter 4, and then there's a little bit of a flashback scene, and then go to chapter 5, and I'm going to try to read as much of chapter 5 as I can. Like I said, it's just so weird that I'm just not feeling it. And I don't know if it's because I'm so focused on the Charmed reboot, and that's all I care about at the moment, or, it's because it's been a while since I've read Cassandra Clare, and I'm just having a hard time getting back into her world. Like, it's taking me some time. Because, I read that Gods of Jade and Shadow and had no problem with that one. I got through it quickly. But then it's not as chunky as this one. So that probably helps. So maybe I need to read something that's a little less chunky at the same time. Like I said, I thought about getting back into rereading Jane Eyre for the third time. Which reminds me about rereads. Peter Likes Books did a really interesting video about rereads. And how he doesn't really do them that often because he just, his taste will change as he gets older. And so I thought it was a very interesting video. I really like these vlogs that he's doing where he'll be driving around, running errands and stuff like that, and he'll just talk to us while he's driving. And I think I really like that. That's really interesting. And like I said, the last one was about rereads and how he feels about that, and how, there are some books he's reread, but he doesn't feel any point to rereads because he's already read the book once, and his taste will evolve and change. And he was talking about how he feels like as he gets older, that it's not the same, that a lot of times reading does not mean the same thing as it did when you were younger. Which I hope is not the case for me. Although I like to believe that, because I'm emotionally younger than my age is, than my legal age is, because I'm 30, but I still feel very young, which is really frustrating because people all see, also physically when you look at me, I look young. And even though I'm not young, and there are times when I want to come off as mature, I can be immature. So it's a very frustrating thing in my brain, because on the one hand, I'm like, I want people to see me as mature, but then sometimes most of the time I feel like I act like I'm immature. And I also don't always feel mature. I don't feel my age, but I want to be seen as my age. I don't want people to talk down to me or see me as a naive child or something, I think that's why I constantly find ways to tell people, guess what, I'm 30, I'm not that young, and people, that's why I always bring up that, my feelings on wine, or, other things that involve that only at a certain legal age are you allowed to, and I always say, unfortunately, I'm still living at home, as in my way of applying that being as old as I am, normally people my age don't live at home anymore, but I need to, out of necessity, because I'm just not ready to live on my own yet. I'm not prepared to be on my own, to take care of myself. But then a lot of times I wonder if they're thinking, well, of course, you're so young, you don't have to live on your own. You're too young, you're a young woman, you're like a teenager or a late teen, so of course you can't afford to live on your own. It's just, I'm very conflicted on it. That's another thing. As much as I will defend YA, and for the longest time I was always annoyed that like people would say, "Oh, I'm too old for YA. I can't relate to YA anymore. I'm not a teenager anymore." But then at the same time, now as I'm reading YA, it's not the same as it was when I was a kid, and I'm more reading. I've read a lot of adult. I'm definitely reading a lot more adult books right now. In fact, I'm reading less YA. That's the other reason why I want to read this book, because it's another young adult book. I want to read a young, and I want to be able to put another young adult book on my record, because I still enjoy it. It's just, like I said, I'm not feeling. In this case, I'm just not feeling it right now. But I think also there's a little bit of pressure for me to read this, and I've only read a few books because with the whole Charmed reboot and everything, really obsessing over that and getting into that, I'm not reading as much. I'm focused on that one and watching all these videos of my favorite ship on the show and watching the same scene of the two of them over and over and over again. I don't know what I'm going to read. There's so many books that I felt I should read that one right now, like Starless Sea, for instance. Like I said, I want to reread Jane Eyre, and then there's the Dickens books. I'm still working. I'm not very into David Copperfield, and my goal was to read this one before I got to even Bleak House or Pickwick Papers. But I'm not, again, David Copperfield, I wasn't feeling it because it was like David Copperfield is a whole different story than Charm story. There's no supernatural aspects about it. It's about it's a coming of age story about this young man named David. So it's like, there's no connection there. So this one has a little bit of a stronger, it's still urban paranormal stuff, but it's a little different because we're dealing with shadow hunters. I wonder if that's Emma on the cover. Maybe I always wondered who was on the cover of this, if that's maybe Emma on there. And that's Emma in the Wild Hunt. I wonder if the Wild Hunt has anything to do with whatever's going on. I don't know. But, this bookmark is falling apart. But yeah, so I'm going to read a little bit more of this before and then I don't know if I'll try something else after I read a little bit more. I just want to get a little bit farther into a good chunk into this, but I might pick one of my other books as well. And I also keep thinking, oh, I need to read this one too. There's so many books I need to read that I need to get to, but I'm just not feeling the books right now. Like I said, I don't want that to happen. But anyway, so who knows? And I know, like I said, I know it's okay if I end up in a reading slip and I'm not feeling books. Nothing is wrong with that. I know that. But it's not going to change my guilty feelings of feeling like, oh, I need to, there's all these books I need to read. And it's like, and Lisa, it's a good thing, the only silver lining about not going to visit my grandma is that at least I'm not, it's kind of hard with the reading thing because then there's all these distractions at my grandma's house and she's always having the news on, and then the reason why we're visiting is to, for my cousin's graduation party. And part of the reason why we didn't go is because of the weather, because it might be raining there. At least here, it's finally sunny. The sun is coming back, but I have a feeling it's going to start raining again in the next couple days. Like, hopefully these 2 days it will be nice and sunny. I mean, I know it's kind of a relief as far as the heat goes. It's not super hot. It's nothing like going to Harris Teeter and working and having to be outside in the heat. Getting in the carts. That's not fun. That's the only thing. I don't like extreme heat or wetness or coldness, doing that part of the job. I don't like that part. And I think that's why people get confused. People who get the setup, what everybody's going to do, what all of us baggers are going to do that day, they assume, oh, you don't like getting in the cart, so we will make sure you don't have to do that every day. But at the same time, it's like, I do like doing it. It's just that I don't like when the weather is like extreme weather, like extreme cold or extreme wetness or extreme heat. Then yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of it. But I do like going out there because then I don't have to I can get lost in my own head, and I'm by myself. I don't have to be like on the ball all the time like I do when I'm at the cash register. I have to, bag everything and make sure I put certain things together, like all the cold stuff in one bag, and sometimes, and all the, certain like you have to be careful with the bread, and what I usually do now is put the bread and the chips together, because they're both things that you got to be careful with, and you don't want to break them. So I always put them together into one thing. Although I don't know when people put the bags in their carts, or when we put it in the cart in their trunk, or they put it in their trunks, it might still break a lot of chips. It might break some chips, or I should start calling them crisp. That's what I should do. I should call them crisp now. That's what they call them in the UK, crisp. But yeah, putting them, and you have to make sure, and I have to be careful with the eggs, and putting the eggs together, and making sure that, and then if I want to put other cold stuff, it has to be stuff that won't put so much weight on the eggs that will break them. So you have to be kind of precise when you're bagging groceries. You have to be very careful how you put them in there. You can't just toss them in there. So I always try to be, sometimes I'm so tired that I'm like, I don't care, I'll still be somewhat careful, but at the same time, just get the job done and over with. But, and then I have to keep, even if there's not a lot of customers at that point, I still have to keep going back and forth and walk back and forth near the registers. And then just make, so I'm not just standing there. Like, I'm actually doing something by walking around and making, and appearing at the register that I need to be bagging, that if there is a customer there. But then when I go outside, I don't have to worry about that. Like, I can just take my time. I only have an hour out there, so and there's a lot of carts I have to, a lot of corrals that I have to take carts out of and put them inside, but, I can still take more time with that, and I don't have to be on the ball all the time. I don't have to pay attention all the time to the customers, because they're just dropping their carts off. But it's I can be more relaxed, I can get lost in my head, I can play, this is the thing, one of my things I like to do is, I used to write fan fiction, but, even before that, I would play out stories and scenes in my head, and I'm doing that now with Charmed, because we have to wait, so I'm playing out certain scenes that either, scenes that were missing that were quote-unquote missing, a scene that, basically for example, the scene in between when my ship, declares their love and they're dancing under the stars, and then the next episode you find them in bed together and they get interrupted. So I'm writing the scene in between. Which I'm one of those people, first I will admit, I'm a virgin. I have not had a lot of experience in the romance department. I have barely had any. I might have had one, I came close one time, but then I called it off because it felt weird to me to be in that position. I don't know, maybe because from being very innocent and inexperienced, but when I finally had that one brief experience for a little while, I was like, okay, I don't like this, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not sure if I'm ready for this kind of situation, to be in this, be intimate with a guy. And so that was the only time I really came close. I did ask out a guy in high school once, but he turned me down, and I feel really, in which now looking back, I get his reasoning. It did hurt my feelings when he said no, but I was okay with it, and then, but anyway, so I wasn't okay with that at the time, but I understand. But anyway, so now, I feel like that's part of the, even if I'm just writing something for myself and I'm not showing it to the public, I think I still get a little shy and a little embarrassed, because I'm writing this beautiful scene with my couple, an intimate scene, and it's I don't have experience in that kind of stuff, and I almost feel like it just, I can't really explain it. It just feels weird sometimes, and I have to remind myself, it's just for me, it's just for fun, who cares, you know? And I also worry that, oh, do I really know these characters? Would they really say this, or would they really do it like this? Or, you know, I always worry, okay, do I know these characters really well? Am I comfortable with these characters? And to the point where I know them really well. But I am writing this scene, and I'm just getting sick and embarrassed at the same time. But then I'm like, okay, I gotta let myself leave my conscience. Just stop thinking about, stop overanalyzing this, and just write and just edit, fix what you want to fix. If you don't like certain things, then take it out and just focus. And that's what I'm trying to do, is take myself out of my own head for temporarily and just write it and just have fun with it. And besides the fact, it's not for anyone. No one else is going to see it. It's only for me. I mean, I might show it to two other people, like my friend Jessica, who is into the show and watches it, and then eventually Terry, when she gets to the end of the season, like, maybe I'll show it to them, but that's about it. Other than that, it's just something for me, something because I need to get it out of my system, because until then, and then I'm also playing out other scenes in my head, not just that kind of scene, but also, like, in the finale, I'm playing out my version of the finale, which I like all the characters, like the main core group of characters that we've been introduced to. I'm thinking, oh, they all come together, but there's all this awkward tension because, if you watch the show, a lot of interesting drama happens, especially in the romance department. And so I think it'll be very interesting. Like, all these characters come together, forced to work together, and be like, yeah, I hate your guts, I want to kill you. But at the same time, we gotta work together. We gotta form this alliance because we gotta defeat the bad guys. So I play this awkward humor scene in my head about that, and then I also played out scenes because my main ship, I want them to be together and have a few cutesy, fluffy, romantic moments sprinkled throughout the season 3, that are just about them being a normal couple, or as normal as they can be. And so I had this whole double date scene in my head of another couple on the show that kind of are just starting to be something, and I feel like they're going to be a couple eventually. They're going to get together eventually. They just haven't done it yet. And they agree to go on a double date with my main ship. So I'm kind of playing that out. And then I also, thought about how the finale would end and the aftermath of it. And because a character that our charmed ones trusted, that they thought he was a friend, ends up might not be a friend after all. And so they're, kind of like how they deal with that. And, so I just like to play out these scenes in my head. And I have kind of like a little fan fiction going on in my head. I just haven't written it out yet. I mean, except for occasionally I'll have the desire to read the sweet romantic scenes, because I feel like romance scenes are easy and they're not easy. I don't know if I can ever write a fight scene, but, I mean, I want to be able to write a fight scene or a battle scene at some point, but, the romantic scenes are just these two people talking. There's action going on, they might decide to have sex, or, they're dancing or hugging each other, or, and you also gotta put, instead of just them saying things back and forth, you gotta have them doing stuff so it won't be boring, but at the same time, it's a little more simple than, a fight scene or something. Because just these two people, at the root of it, is these two people talking and declaring their love for each other. Or, talking about, something like their relationship or something. Then when you get to the other stuff, the intimate stuff, then that might be a little bit harder for me, anyway. But, sorry, I keep looking down at this book, but again, I'm going to read a little bit more of this today, and then I don't know what I'm going to read after that, because I might not want to read. I might want to take a step back and read something else that I'm more, it might be a good idea to read Jane Eyre, because I know I've already read it, so I can get through it quick. I could probably easily get through it, because I know what's going to happen, and I feel like that's why some people say, maybe if you're reading a reading slab, do a reread, because you know what's going to happen in the book. You have some basic idea, or even if you don't remember when you start reading it. At least for me, when I start reading a book that I've already read, everything comes back to me as I'm reading it. That's what happened with The Night Circus. Everything started coming back. and I started remembering again. So I was able to get through quickly because I was getting to the parts that I remember. So I feel like even though it's been a few years, at least I know the basic story. And then I've seen the movie. So even if I don't remember everything in the novel, I have the movie. So I know what happens in the movie. So I might reread that as well. Like I said, I might even come back to David Copperfield, one of the other Dickens novels as well. I might just jump into one of those, like the Pickwick Papers or Bleak House. But I do not know what's gonna happen. Who knows, But anyway, okay, I'm done rambling. I gotta let one of my dog is asking to come in my room, so I will talk to you guys later. If you like this video, be sure to give a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you have not already. Click bell notification below to see when I post more videos. If you're reading, I hope you are enjoying that, and I hope you are being safe and doing what you need to do to, if you want to help what's going on right now in the world. And I will talk to y'all later. All right, bye.